take 88. 89. Okay, take 89. Take. That's it. Hello, how's everybody feeling? We are closed here at Secret Creek, obviously, and we're feeling pretty lonely, as I'm sure you are all too. So we decided to make some videos to stay connected to everybody on veganism, vegan cooking, tips and tricks. And today we're going to be talking about and cooking with TVP, textured vegetable protein. We thought we'd make some online content for you all. We're going to cover all kinds of things about vegan cooking. So today we're going to talk about TVP, textured vegetable protein. It's an ingredient that we use a lot here. What we're going to do with these videos that we're making is, rather than give you just a straightforward recipe, because you can look up a recipe for basically anything, we're going to give you more tips and tricks and some sort of inspiration so that you can go away and then just use your own imagination and yeah, make up your own creations. So this is kind of how I do things for my cooking classes as well. We don't really follow a recipe exactly. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about textured vegetable protein. TVP is what it's called. So it looks like this, little grains of meatiness. And I don't know if you can hear that, but it's very dry. So it's kind of crunchy and dry. It's pretty gross as it is. What it is basically soy protein with the fat taken out. So it's basically dehydrated soy protein. It's gluten-free, however some brands that you buy do have traces of gluten. So if you are celiac, have a look and see if you can find a gluten-free brand. It's available at Coles and Woolies now, but you can also buy it in bulk online, certain places as well. So you're either looking for TVP or textured vegetable protein. There's quite a few brands out there, different, you know, types of inclusions in it as well. Like sometimes you can get a light version and a dark version. So we use it a lot here because it tastes like nothing. It has no flavor. It has no, you know, sometimes you buy those faux meat products from the shops and they have, you know, they have these flavors added, which is great for certain applications. But if you want to make something taste how you want it to taste, then you need something that's like a blank slate, which is what TVP is. So when you get it like this, it's all dry and bland and nothing. So what we do to prepare it in order to use it is actually soak it. So here I've got some that I've soaked. You can see a little bit of water coming off there. I've actually soaked this in beef stock. I'll explain a little bit about stock in a minute. Beef stock, Worcestershire, a little bit of black pepper. So I've soaked it not for very long, like just in kind of medium hot water. And what happens when you soak it is that it goes soft. So it's still very crumbly, but it's softened. Okay, so we've soaked our TVP. And now it basically is ready to be used in any application that you would use mince in. Now, a lot of the faux meat products that you buy at the shops, which I'm not opposed to, they have their own uses. And I think if you approach faux meats in that way, where it's not, you know, one size fits all, one ingredient fits all recipes, you can use them in little bits and pieces for certain applications. So those mince products that you can now find at the shops, that are more mincy, that look like mincy, they hold together, they do have a lot of stuff added into them in order to give them that structure and that ability to kind of gel together. Today what we're going to make with our TVP is a filling for sausage rolls. Everything that I'm going to be using is gluten-free for the filling, but I'm going to be using store-bought puff pastry. I did mention before about stock. I just want to talk about that a little bit. I said beef stock and everyone's like, oh, not vegan. I'm sure you were all thinking that. There are a lot of store-bought beef stocks that are actually vegan. So there's quite a few brands that you can look for. A lot of them will actually list whether they're vegan, or they'll say on their no animal content. So have a look around. There's beef stock, chicken stock, veggie stock. If you make your own stock, I know everybody's pretty bored in lockdown, and if you're like at home making stocks and stuff like that, you can really use any stock. The beef stock is basically just to give the TVP that more meaty kind of flavour. So what we're going to do today is make the filling of a sausage roll. My sausage roll is kind of inspired by like a pork sausage roll, and it's going to have apple and fennel flavours, lots of garlic, lots of black pepper. So I'm just going to chop up the veggies. We're going to use an onion, we're going to use some fennel, we're going to use an apple, and I'm going to use some celery as well. Without I have chopped up my flavour base, onion, celery, fennel and apple today, and I have started my little pan. So I'm just going to put a little bit of oil in there. Now, one thing to remember with vegan cooking, especially if you're using things like TVP and just like base ingredients, rice, TVP, whatever, is that they don't have any fat in them. And a lot of the deliciousness from animal-based foods, like things like we're used to eating sausage rolls that have actual meat in them, they're really fatty. Like especially like a pork sausage has a huge fat content. Now, if you're concerned more about flavor than health, then you need to replace that fat content with a vegetable fat, or else you're not going to get the same mouthfeel, you're not going to get the same flavor profile. So I'm just using some vegetable oil today, but it is something to remember when you're cooking vegan food is don't be afraid of vegetable oil and fat. Like you can do it in a natural way as well. Like if, adding chopped up nuts to something increases that fat content and also adds to the texture. So it's just something to think about. Like if you are eating low fat, obviously you can leave it all out and it's, better for you. But if you want to really impress your friends and your family that eat meat, you need to put that fat in there, Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm just heating that oil up. I'm going to put some garlic. I'm just using minced garlic, already minced, into our pan. Sizzle, sizzle. And I'm just going to put all of our bizzos in, the flavour bizzos. Onion, I'm just going to put all in, just bang it all in. No, just bang it in. We do the cooking part, So another thing, when you are frying off your mirepoix, your flavour base, whatever it is that you're doing, put a little bit of salt in at this point because it helps things to break down. Salt creates that brings out all the flavors in anything you're cooking, but you can add salt at different points in the cooking process. And I find by the end, your dish is better seasoned because if you've done that. So I'm just going to put just a little bit. Obviously, you keep tasting the whole way through. I'm not going to taste this part, obviously, but as we get towards the end, we keep tasting and you can adjust the seasoning level at the end as well, which I always do. But yeah, just especially when you're cooking stuff like mushrooms, anything that like really needs to start to break down in order to get that flavor out, that's when you really need to put a little bit of salt in at the start. So you've probably picked up already that I'm not really a health food chef. I do like things like salt, I love sugar, I love oil, all those things that make flavour. However, I think generally a vegan diet is just kind of accidentally a little bit healthier, even if you're not trying to actively eat healthy, because you end up replacing all of the animal products with vegetable-based stuff. And it's really, it's good for everybody to eat more plants. That's where you put that little bit in, where you do like a little...
How does it go?
It's good dish music. If they present like a good dish, you've got good dish music. Like, and if they present a bad dish and it's about to be bad, it's like, oh no. And you already know the dish is going to be good or bad from the music. So good dish music only. The other day I posted something on my Instagram and it was, I wish you could smell my kitchen right now. It was the hot cross buns. And somebody replied to my story saying, I thought you said, I wish you could smell my kitten right now. And I'm like, oh, I've never said I wish you could smell my kitchen right now. Alright, so this smells really good, and I'm going to add a couple of other things in now. I'm going to put in, before I add our TVP, because TVP, like, essentially, you could just eat it as it is. It's kind of, and a lot of these meat products are like that. They're sort of already edible, already cooked. Obviously, when you're cooking them, you're adding all the extra flavors and all that sort of stuff, but, like, it's not going to hurt you to just eat it like that. And I really do want to, like, the texture's fine once it's been kind of rehydrated. The texture's fine to eat as it is. So, I'm going to add a couple of other things in first. What I have here is firm tofu that I have just processed up. So, like I said, what I'm going for here with this is kind of like a pork style sausage. So the apple and the fennel, I want it to be not so beefy. Obviously I've used beef stock and I'm using black pepper and stuff like that. But this type of flavor profile, I actually want kind of like a lighter meat, I guess, if you were going to think of it in that way. So yeah, I've got this processed, just quickly processed. I'm just going to add that in. This also is going to just add those different variations in texture. What I try and do with my food a lot is think about the textures, and I think it is really important with vegan cooking to really play around with texture. Make sure you've got little bits of crunchy, little bits of soft, little bits, you know, it's just more interesting to eat stuff like that, you know. So I'm just going to cook that off a little bit. That pureed, and just you'll notice that I'm not giving you any amounts, and that's because I want you to think for yourself. But no, seriously though, I think it's more valuable to give people the inspiration and the skills to be able to look and see and use their own intuition and their own feeling, and to taste things and to play around and actually feel like they're involved in the cooking. If you're just following a recipe, and you know, like, I know it feels safer, but recipes, they're not foolproof, you know. Recipes are sometimes shit. So it's better off, recipes are sometimes bad. Sometimes they don't work out. And so I think it's more valuable to have those skills that then you can translate into your own recipes, your own creations. And then when you share this food with your family and friends, you can say, no, I didn't use a recipe. I looked at some recipes, I thought, you know, and then I made it my own. And it's all about that creativity. You get that joy of creation, you know. And yeah. Oh yeah, this is rice, by the way, cooked rice. Brown rice is really good. It's really good texturally. This is also going to, when I sort of cook it off in there, it'll break down a little bit more. All of these things are recommendations, but, you know, just wing it. Alright, so I've put in cooked rice. This is just jasmine rice because that's what we had. If you wanted to use, I really recommend brown rice in things like this. It's going to help stick things together, but it also is going to help with that texture that I talked about as well. Our TVP, it's still got a bit of liquid in it from soaking it in the stock and the Worcestershire, but you know, you could drain it out, or I'm just going to grab it and put it in because, you know, I know I'm touching everything and it's like pandemic time, but nobody else is going to eat this. So I mean, just my family and friends are going to eat it. So we're going to put a lot of that in. Now, just keep in mind that this is not going to stick together on its own. That's what all these other ingredients are going to help do, to kind of stick it together and give that texture that we need in a kind of sausage filling. All the things in the pan, chop it up, put it on a board, put it just on the board, just bang it on.
With your accent.
Now, how good is that? Okay, so this has been cooking for quite a while and it's all nice and broken down. That rice is broken down even more, and that's going to help it stick together inside the pastry. Now, if you want, sage would be really yummy in this, parsley, just add whatever herbs that you like. If you've got a little herb garden, add whatever herbs you're growing, whatever seasonal, whatever you like. Don't leave salt out though, never leave salt out. everybody likes salt. And also salt brings out the flavours, so you have to put a little bit of salt in. Doesn't matter, even if you're being a little bit healthy, you have to put a little bit in. When you're cooking vegan food, that's the other thing, meat has salt in it. So if you're cooking vegan food, there is basically no salt. And you do need a little bit of salt in your diet. So even if you're being healthy, you're allowed to add salt to your vegan cooking. I'm going to put a disclaimer in the comments. A indemnity clause in the comments saying if any of this doesn't work out and your food is bad,
Not tasty.
don't come at me in the comments.
Yeah.
Our mix for our sausage rolls is ready, and what we're going to do now, like I said in the beginning, I am using just store-bought puff pastry for these. There are a lot of store-bought puff pastries that are just accidentally vegan. Yeah, you can just look at the package or anything like the internet is really awesome for things like this. But you can always Google if something's vegan or not, and the vegan internet will tell you. So I'm just going to put the mix in the middle of these sausage rolls and I'm going to wrap them up. That means music, please. So stuff like this, it's really good to use your hands. If you're cooking for your own friends and family, you know, it's totally fine to use your hands. Wash your hands always, not just when you're making food, but you know, we're in a pandemic, wash your hands. If you're using clean hands, it's totally fine to touch the food. I know, you know, people, you know, like to use spoons and stuff, it's fine, but I really think it's important to touch touch the food, especially when you're doing something like this, because you really want to compact the sausage. Now if I was making food for people, I would probably put gloves on to do this, but because we're just going to eat it ourselves and we're not serving any customers, then it's totally fine. Just use my hands. So we just wrap it up. Very, very simple. Wrap him up. I like to fold him over so that the joint is on the bottom, and then we can shape it up nice and cool. Get all those little extra bits off. And there we have 2 little sausage rolls that we're going to put in the oven. A good tip to make your pastry look really yummy when it comes out of the oven, and it is really just for looks more than anything else, is to brush it with a little bit of soy milk. If you really want to be fancy, you could melt a bit of Nuttelex or butter into, you could melt a little bit of butter or vegan butter in with the soy milk and brush it on the top before it goes in the oven. It'll give it that nice golden, shiny, yummy pastry look. Our delicious sausage rolls are out of the oven. I didn't say before that I put them on around about 200 degrees Celsius, and I'm not sure how long they took. They took as long as it took to get this lovely, delicious golden brown color. So just keep an eye on them. So although I said that we're not following a recipe, I will give a little bit of a guide to suggested ingredients and a little vague method in the description or in the comments of the video. But I hope after we do more of these videos that you'll get more confident to be able to cook on your own without a recipe. Saying that though, I am working on real proper recipes and a real proper recipe book. So we'll save all the real recipes for that as well. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed our little video today. If you enjoyed it, please share with your friends and family online, like the video, and yeah, give us some feedback. We would love to hear from you. If you want us to make any particular videos about a type of food that you're really interested in, if you want us to veganize any of your favorite recipes, please get in touch. Let us know. We want to stay connected to our community, and we'll see you for a big party back at Secret Creek on the other side. Thanks.